Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. Hope you're having a great day so far. This is episode 441. Whether you're listening on your favorite local talk radio station or as a podcast, thank you for tuning in to this show that, as the announcer says, breaks down geek speak into street speak. Speaking of the podcast version, we just added YouTube as a platform. So along with Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, and so on, we just added YouTube. It is an audio-only podcast for now, but you can listen, you can stream while you're working, while you're walking around the block, getting some exercise this spring, whatever you're doing, jogging, however you're tuning into the show. Thank you. And I hope you're enjoying it. If you want to reach out on social media, I'll spell my name in a moment, but you can find me on all the major platforms, including YouTube. But I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, LinkedIn, TikTok, and a couple of others as well. It's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. Always love hearing from Tech It Out listeners, whether you have tech questions or suggestions for upcoming guests or topics for the show. So yeah, it's Mark Saltzman, and I look forward to saying hi online. Let me know where you're tuning into the show from. I always get a kick out of where people are tuning into this show. All corners of the globe, in fact, but mostly in the US and in Canada as well. All right, so let me tell you what's on tap today. We're going to kick things off with Amazon. I was at an event in New York where they unveiled a new line of TVs set to rival Samsung when it comes to artwork. We'll get to that. And there's lots of AI, helpful AI, not just for the sake of AI. After that, and speaking of AI, GoDaddy will join us on how it's easier than ever to build a website with the help of some technology. So GoDaddy, whom I use for marksaltzman.com, they're going to join us on Tech It Out. And finally, why pay for a phone number and phone service if you don't need to? We're going to be joined by TextNow. This is a free app and service that you may not know about, but I really think you should. So it's TextNow on the show as well a little bit later on. All of this and more on a brand new Tech It Out, powered by Visa and Norton, two awesome brands, and both of which, interestingly, protect you in different ways. But I'll explain in a few minutes from now. So Visa and Norton, huge partners on Tech It Out. All right, so without further ado, let's officially kick off the brand new show with our first interview. Not all smart TVs are created equal. I'm here in New York at an Amazon event to catch a glimpse of the just unveiled Ember Artline TV, launching later in April. To tell us all about it, I'm joined by Aidan Marcus, Amazon VP of Fire TV. Hi, Aidan. Nice to meet you, and thanks for hosting us today.
Thanks, Mark. It's super exciting to be here with you.
Before we talk Ember Artline, this new TV, our listeners are probably well aware of the Fire TV brand of sticks and Fire TVs themselves. Maybe tell us something they may not know. For example, Fire TV, it was once associated with, sort of a value brand. It was like a good bang for your buck. But then over the years, Fire TV also became a premium brand. You had an option. So not trying to be all things to all people, but giving selection.
For sure. We absolutely started as sticks. It was a way to bring apps to your TV. And think about how far we've progressed. Yeah. It's 11 years on. And now we all expect to be able to find anything at a moment's notice. Yeah. And that's actually what Fire TV is about now, helping me find something fast. And from a hardware perspective, if you want to buy a stick and upgrade your TV, if you want to buy a brand new TV with it built right in, we just want to make it super easy to get Fire TV up and going in your house and then deliver, help you find what you want to watch next.
Yeah, like we were saying a couple moments ago before we were recording, nobody wants a computer on their wall. It has to be intuitive. It has to still be TV, but a smarter TV, a smart TV.
Yeah, and I think to your point, people expect it to do more than just watch TV now. Mm-hmm. And that's part of where we're pushing.
With that in mind, let's chat about the new Ember Artline TV. Again, I think it's available for pre-order as of the 15th. So by the time people hear this interview, and then shipping later in the month, what makes it unique? What makes it exciting?
Amazon Ember Artline looks great on any wall. It's a matte display, 4K TV that is great for watching content, but you can pick your frame. And so it matches your decor right at the checkout process. You can find the color that matches your room. And it's so much more than just a great TV. It has far field voice, so you can just talk to it across the room. You don't need to pick up your remote. And when you're not watching TV or playing a video game, you can show any one of the 2,000 pieces of free art included. In fact, you can use a little AI helper to help you pick some of those pieces of artwork for your room. And when you wanted to see your own photos, you can just ask Alexa to show you your photos. You don't need to tag them. She'll find the photos that you're looking for. You want photos of your kids or your last vacation. It really sort of completes a room. It sort of makes what is typically just a black box a part of your overall living environment.
All right, so Ember Artline TV, it's available in 55 and 65 inches. We're sitting across from a beautiful larger one, a 65-inch model. And so just to unpack some of the things you mentioned, it's matted TV, so it's not glossy. And as a result, when it is showing artwork, when you're not watching TV and you've got maybe company over, you're in a room having a cocktail or a coffee or whatever, it looks like art. I actually did a double take when I walked into your suite here in the hotel. And so not only is there an correct me if I'm wrong, 2,000 pieces of artwork, but you've got this feature that you were referencing called Match the Room, where it shows a QR code on the screen. You scan that QR code with your smartphone and it asks you to take some pictures of not the TV itself, but other parts of your room. And it tries to match the decor.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep, it's called Match the Room. You pick up to 4 photos and it'll give you up to 3 collections that match the decor that it saw in your photo.
All of which are free.
All of which are free.
So there's no paid artwork here.
There's no paid artwork here.
And you can also use your own photos, as you mentioned, with Alexa support. So you can actually say, show me pictures from the vacation last July or of my son playing soccer on a field, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, so there's 10 different magnetic frames that surround the TV. Some have more of a woodish finish I see here. One's got more of a gold, like more of a traditional frame, picture frame.
Yeah.
And you can buy more that supports your model, but you get one that you choose off the bat. When you buy it from Amazon, you just select the frame you want. Let's talk a bit more about the interface. So it is easier to use and easier on the eyes. I love the animation, how it glides between sections. But you were showing me at the top of the screen, there's icons that help you better find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right? So it's segregated into movies, games.
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to make groupings that just help people find what's next. So a movies tab that you can see all the movies available, a news tab to see what's going on in news.
Live TV.
And a live TV tab because there's a lot of live TV available, whether it's inside an app or if it's a TV plugged into a cable box or an antenna. It's all brought into one place. So you can just find what's next, including sports. Sports are hard to find these days. And so we even added a sports tab where you can actually find what's on across a variety of leagues, whatever network it's on, whatever app it's in.
Right.
We'll bring it front and center.
I just had Fubo on this show.
Oh, yeah.
A couple weeks ago for those sports fans out there. Yeah, it's going to be a big year with FIFA, of course. All right. And then from an accessibility standpoint.
So our Ember Art line is going to ship with a bunch of great accessibility features, things like magnifier and dialogue boost, which help you pull forward the dialogue that's happening in the show, given how much sound is. But we're also adding new accessibility features. We just talked about a brand new stick that we're going to launch, an Entry HD stick, and it's going to ship with something called Adaptive Display, or Adaptive Display is going to come to our new stick. And it just makes everything in the UI bigger, easier to see, which will make it much easier for a whole variety of customers.
We are chatting with Aidan Marcus, Amazon VP of Fire TV. We're learning about the new Ember Artline TV with removable frames, magnetic frames, and it's got a matte finish to really give you that experience that you're looking at artwork on your wall. Well, you are. This is really fitting into the room instead of having a black rectangle when the TV is turned off, or you can have your own personal photos if you like. And then, let's end off on Fire TV Stick, Aidan. So you just mentioned some of those accessibility features as well baked into the new Fire TV Stick. So this is the affordable, like sub $40 MSRP stick that can make any TV a smarter TV. Now it's a slimmer body and it's got the ability to power itself from an available USB-A port on a compatible TV. And the remote, the voice remote. So everything's been improved. Same price. To replace the one that you've had for a few years.
You forgot faster, 30% faster for all the things that matter.
And the new user experience.
Got the new user experience. It also has Alexa Plus. And so you get a real upgrade for every single TV in your house.
And with Alexa Plus, I've talked about it quite a bit over the last year on this program, but this is a more conversational, smarter Alexa with now got memory. Will remember things like dietary preferences or allergies, musical tastes, things like that. And that's all built in even on the entry-level Fire TV HD stick.
Yep.
Amazing.
And she's a great entertainment companion because you can ask like, hey, I want to find a movie to watch tonight. And then you can say, no more animated movies. I can't watch another one. Or you can say, we're really in the mood for action. You can have a conversation. You can say, show me more by this director. And so all of this makes it way more powerful to find new things.
And it doesn't even have to be tied to watching TV. I know
Correct.
You're circling back to entertainment, but booking an Uber and the agentic AI may do it for you.
Yep.
You can ask for dinner party ideas, right? Telling stories to the kids that you're curling up with on the couch.
Yep.
And then finally, Aiden, where can we learn more? Is it simply Amazon.com or is there like a /Fire TV?
Yeah, Amazon.com/Fire TV. You got it.
Okay, awesome. Again, available by the time people hear this interview, it'll be available for pre-order, shipping about the 22nd of April.
The TV and then the HD stick will be shipping at the end of the month.
Okay, that's for the Fire TV HD stick, the new and improved one. Great to meet you, Aiden. Thanks so much for the walkthrough. Really
Thank
impressive.
you, Mark. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Pleasure. Again, that's the Ember Artline TVs. Awesome. All right. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to chat with GoDaddy. Whether you run a business or maybe you've got a side hustle or you just want to create your own website for other reasons, we're going to hear how easy it is, thanks in part to the help of AI. So stick with us. We've got a lot more Tech It Out coming right up after this short break.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. I wanted to give a shout out to Norton, an incredible partner of mine on Tech It Out. In today's connected world, a simple antivirus isn't enough. Your identity, your finances, your privacy, it's all on the line. That's why you need Norton 360 with LifeLock, the comprehensive solution that bundles device security and identity theft protection. Tech It Out has proudly partnered with Norton as they protect your PC, Mac, and mobile devices from viruses, ransomware, and other kinds of malicious software. LifeLock takes it a step further, constantly monitoring for the fraudulent use of your personal info from your social security number to your bank accounts. If a threat is detected, you receive an alert. If the worst happens and your identity is stolen, a dedicated US-based identity restoration specialist will be there to personally help fix it. Plus, with the $1 Million protection package, you get coverage for stolen funds and expenses. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you the power to defend your entire digital life. Stop patching together protection. Get the all-in-one peace of mind you need with Norton 360 with LifeLock. And Tech It Out listeners get a huge discount. In order to do so, visit norton.com/techitout. That's NORTON.com/techitout. It's a company name you no doubt know, as they rode the wave from the early days of the World Wide Web and still remain a powerhouse today. I'm referring to GoDaddy, which is whom I turn to register marksaltzman.com, by the way, and I use simple tools to create and manage my website as well through them. Despite the company's successes, they're not resting on their laurels, and they've debuted new tools for its millions of customers, or those who aren't customers yet, and one of them is called Aero AI Builder. To talk with us today from the company, we've got with us Amy Jennette, Senior Director of Integrated Marketing at GoDaddy. Great to chat with you, Amy. Thanks for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Now, before we talk what's new, and I already hinted at a new product, tell us a bit about the company. I think, if I'm not mistaken, GoDaddy's been around for almost 30 years.
Yes, that's right. We're almost 30 years old. Can you believe it?
Well, I remember those Super Bowl ads from the early 2000s, I guess. They were iconic.
Those definitely got us on the map, and we've been building ever since. So I'm glad you remember them. Yeah, so we've been around for almost 30 years, 29 to be exact. I'm really proud to work for this company because our purpose is to empower everyday entrepreneurs, making opportunity inclusive for all. And that's not just like a positioning statement. It's really the DNA of our company and what goes into everything that we do. So we spend our time thinking about what small businesses want to solve, and then we work to develop tools that help them do just that. So ultimately being a place where ideas can not only just start, but then they can thrive.
And as a customer, if I may also add, this is also evidenced in your amazing customer service. So anytime I've ever had to contact them, they are like rock stars.
Yes, 24/7. They are available to you. We call them our GoDaddy guides. A secret thing that people don't generally know is that you don't have to be a GoDaddy customer to call in. You can, if you're a small business and you need a little bit of help, they're more than happy to take your call and to help you. And they're not just there to solve tech challenges. They'll actually talk to you about, marketing ideas or whatnot. And so it's a really great service, I think, that we provide for small businesses so that they can feel supported.
What would you say, Amy, is the biggest misconception when it comes to GoDaddy? You're probably best known for registering a URL, like a website address, like marksaltzman.com. But there's so much more to the company than that.
That is, yes, we are very well known for our domains. That's true. In fact, we're the largest domain provider worldwide.
Okay, so not unwarranted.
Yeah.
Quite a feat, yeah.
Yeah, and we actually got our start there. But what I would say is that many small businesses, when we're chatting with them, are surprised to learn that we provide really essentially everything that a small business owner needs to start and grow their business. So, think of us like a one-stop shop, if you will, from naming your business to building your online presence to marketing and growing your customer base. And, we even offer products that allow you to accept payments. So I think the real benefit of that is that it's one login, it's one tab in your browser, and it's one place that you can do most of the things that you need to do to build your online presence. That's really a great offering, that we hear all the time from customers. I don't want to be juggling multiple tabs and multiple tools. They don't have to. They can come to us and pretty much get whatever they need to get done.
Now let's talk about your most popular products today. I use one for my website called Website Builder. I think it used to be called Websites Plus Marketing or something like that. There's also that newer one powered by AI that I hinted at. Where do you want to start? What's the most popular product, perhaps, that GoDaddy has?
Yeah, well, first I want to say thank you. I love to hear that you're using it and that you love it. I'm actually helping my friend Naomi right now. She's an esthetician in Seattle, and she's in the process of revamping her site. And she just loves that she can do it herself and feel proud of what she can accomplish. So I would say that, that makes me feel really good about the products and the tools that we're creating. And yes, we've actually made some real serious advancements recently on all of our website building tools. So it's not a one size fits all type thing. Each small business has different goals, has different needs. And so we want to be sure that we have a tool that meets them where they're at. So I'll say, if you're really tech savvy and you need a really complex site, we've got Arrow for WordPress. If you love to vibe code and you're thinking of either a website or a web app, we've got the new one called Arrow AI Builder. And then, of course, Websites Plus Marketing or our traditional website builder, which is what you're using.
More with GoDaddy when we return on Tech It Out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Amy Jennette, Senior Director of Integrated Marketing at GoDaddy, the world's #1 seller of domains, URLs or website addresses, but the company goes well beyond that with all kinds of website creation and maintenance tools. And funny, people think I'm super tech savvy because of my job, but when it comes to creating a website, I never did it before. I was actually really late in doing this, even though I've been a journalist in the tech world since '94. And I found Website Builder to be super easy. Like there's templates and you can drag and drop, and then also changing it. You're not stuck with what you've got if you don't want to be. I update it very easily through that web browser tab that you mentioned. I just added it as a bookmark and I log in with my password and then I'm good to go. And I can change photos and text and add a page if I want, like I did for this podcast. I just want to make sure people realize they don't need to be tech savvy in order to use these tools.
Yeah, you really don't need to be tech savvy nowadays. I think with the integration of AI into any of the tools, obviously you have to manage your comfort level, but the whole point for us to meet a customer where they're at is to make sure that we're providing options that meet their comfort level. And AI really helps make it super easy so people aren't stuck staring at a blank page going, what do I do next? It kind of, all the tools are kind of designed to walk you through and make sure that, you're filling out the right sections and providing the right level of information so that you can reach your customers.
Also, I don't sell things, Amy. As a journalist, I don't have a marketplace, but you do, as you mentioned earlier, for those who do have a small business that sells items, maybe things they make, or it's a service they provide, you offer all that on the back end to accept payments and all that, right?
That's correct. Yes. Really anything that you need to transact with your audience base. So not just selling goods, but also selling services. So we have a huge customer base that are service providers. So think landscapers or plumbers, dog walkers.
Or your friend, the esthetician.
Yes. So the thing that she's excited about with our online appointment booking, she can now request deposits from her customers or her guests, and they can provide a credit card when they schedule their appointment so that she's got a deposit because her time is valuable and cancellations are a real thing when it comes to service businesses.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, so she doesn't lose out on false bookings, but actually can reserve the time and get paid.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'm sure a lot of listeners can appreciate that. Time is money, and those no-shows can really add up.
Yes.
All right. So before I let you go, and I do want to ask you to share some generic tips on creating a compelling website. But before that, can you give us a bit more info about Airo AI Builder? And again, it's AIRO. And who that would be for? Is that for someone like me where I'm a solopreneur? Or maybe there's someone listening that has a side hustle? Is there like a target demographic for this product?
Airo AI Builder is really great for entrepreneurs, for creators, and even web developers who want to vibe code something. So vibe coding is you're not actually writing the code, but you're having a conversation with the tool, and the tool is writing the code on your behalf. So vibe coding something like web apps or tools or advanced sites. Whereas the other AI website builder, which is the next gen of the tool that you're using, is really perfect for small business owners, local businesses, maybe side hustlers or entrepreneurs who want to launch a website quickly and start getting customers really fast.
All right. Awesome. And then any tips for anyone listening, regardless of how they created their website or who they work with? Is there any do's and don'ts maybe?
Yeah. I think the biggest piece of guidance I can say is to just try it out. You can't break it. I know when I first started working on computers a lot, I was always afraid that I was going to hit some key or do some command that was going to, ruin everything on the machine. With these tools, you really can't break it, and you'll likely surprise yourself with what you can do in such a short amount of time. The other thing that I would say is keep it simple and keep it clear. Like, you don't have to make things complex or complicated.
Yeah. Less is more.
Yeah, let your customers know who you are, give them a little insight into why you got into what you're doing, be clear about what you offer, and then most importantly, how should they transact with you? So, are you a brick and mortar and you want them to come into the store? Are you selling goods or services online and so you're transacting there? Do you have an Etsy shop even, and that links out to your, from your website? So, make sure that people know how to transact with you, and then really keep it simple. Clear and concise messaging goes much farther, especially as people are kind of strapped for time and they might be scanning things to get the information that they need. The simpler and the cleaner that you can keep it, the better off you'll be. And then you mentioned the possibility of going in and making revisions. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's really hard for me because I always try to make things just so. And we don't need to do that right now. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try. And that's ultimately where one of the benefits of AI tools is that, I always find editing something versus like staring at a blank page and wondering what is the first thing that I need to write. You can experiment and learn what works for you and what works for your customers, and then constantly evolve. We do that at GoDaddy, right? We're constantly experimenting with our messaging or what color button works best and things like that. You should do that too. Experiment with it. It doesn't need to be one and done, but it also doesn't need to be overwhelming. So leverage the tools that are available.
This is all great. And speaking of editing and reviewing, I failed to mention earlier with Website Builder that it's also amazing on mobile. It's not only optimized for a mobile phone, which is increasingly how your potential customers are looking at your website, but even just reviewing and even making changes on mobile, which I never thought was possible. I thought you'd need to do that on a big computer screen. So all great stuff. Is there a website that we can leave our listeners with to learn more? Is it simply GoDaddy.com?
It is GoDaddy.com, and you can go there and find literally everything that you might need. We have free trials of a lot of these things. So, like I said, just try it. Don't worry about breaking it. With a free trial, it's really low risk in terms of, commitment level. So there's really nothing to hold you back in terms of giving it a try.
All right, GoDaddy.com to learn more. Thank you so much, Amy. Awesome to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here, and good luck to all you small businesses out there.
We're going to chat with TextNow in a couple of minutes from now on how to get a free phone number and even free phone service. You heard that correctly. TextNow.com has more, but you're going to hear my chat with the founder and CEO of the company. I also want to give a quick shout out to SanDisk. Make sure you properly back up your important files on a regular basis. I always go with reliable and durable USB drives and micro SD cards from sandisk.com. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Check it out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. TextNow is what I would refer to as a must-have app on your smartphone, as it can give you a second phone number for free, or even free cell phone service. Yes, you heard that correctly. Joining us to explain what TextNow is all about, how it works, and what's new for this spring, we've got on the line Derek Ting. He's CEO of TextNow. Hey, Derek, great to have you back on the program again.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a while, but I've been a user of TextNow all this time, and so I was excited to have you back on the program now with some new features for you to tell our audience about. Before we get to that, though, let's first give them a high-level look at what TextNow is.
Yeah, TextNow is a free app you can download in the App Store or the Google Play Store. It gives you a real phone number and phone line to go along with it at no cost. Down the app, you could pick a phone number from your local area code. And then once you pick the phone number from your local area code, you can make calls, you could text for free, no catch. We make money from ads. So a lot of people use it if they want like another phone line on their phone, one for work, one for personal, or they want another phone line for privacy reasons. Another way people use it is people just don't want to pay the phone bill. So if you don't want to pay a phone bill, you can use TextNow as your phone line and you don't need another phone line. We also offer data plans you could buy in the app where you can install an eSIM for free. We have data plans from really basic free data plan where you can use email, maps, very basic apps, to day passes, data plans where you can buy for a day, for a week, for a month, really affordable. So you can use TextNow as well as your main phone plan and not have to pay a monthly bill and only pay for what you need, what you use. And so a lot of people find a lot of value in that as well. So that's TextNow in a nutshell. We are a free phone service through an app.
Awesome. There's a lot to unpack there. So let's start with it being a secondary phone number or primary if you want. But I think a lot of people, they install the TextNow app. As you said, you can type in the city that you want to make it look like you're from, and it'll give you an available area code for North America. And so that's great for privacy, right? I have younger friends who are on dating apps. They don't want to give their real phone number out in case the person turns out to be a creep, right? So it's great to have that secondary line, and then it rings different on the same phone. So you know which line it is. Like you said, it can be work and play, or or it could be for privacy. And then on top of that, so that's one service, and that's free to have a phone number to make calls. You can text, as you said, it's ad supported. And then you started over the years offering service. So in the US, you're able to use for free the TextNow service. I guess maybe you've got a partnership with one of the, the big three phone companies, and you're using their towers, and that is free for messaging, email, maybe WhatsApp or Maps, you said, but then a data plan is on top of that if you want it.
Yeah, for free, you can use your rideshare, email, Maps, or app will work on the cellular network. It's free also to just install the eSIM, so that's no cost as well.
And an eSIM, just to bring everyone up to speed, it used to be a piece of plastic, a SIM card that you would have to put in the phone physically, that little slit. You had to put the little card in the tray just perfectly and slide it in. It wasn't so easy for some folks, but now it's all electronics. You can choose a plan, and that's done through the TextNow app or website. That's only if you need the service. Like if you're perfectly happy with your existing carrier, then you can use TextNow as your primary number or your secondary number. But if you want data, that's where you can opt in the US to pay TextNow as a carrier, and often with rates way lower than like the big guys out there.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
So for the phone number, just to clarify, Derek, there's no cost, and the service is no cost for messaging like email and things like Maps and rideshare. But should you want data, like should you want to go on Instagram or browse the web, you're bored in line at the supermarket and you want to look at recipes, then that's where you need to pay, but lower cost compared to some of the other players out there.
Exactly. So you could either get it by the week or by the month as well. And that's where we differentiate as well. It's don't have to be locked into the whole month. Let's say you just need data for that week. You can just get it for that week.
And is it all unlimited, or do you have to choose how much data you want to use, like 50 gigs or 100 gigs, that kind of thing?
It's unlimited. Yeah. All our plans are unlimited.
Okay.
And that's kind of our principle, is just try to make it as simple for the customer as possible. So they know what they're paying for and they know what they're getting. So all our plans are unlimited, and yes, and they could choose if they want it for a week or for a month.
I just want to clarify something. So you've offered cellular service in the US for a while now, but what's new is that you don't need the SIM card any longer. You now have embraced eSIM technology. Is that the key difference here, or is it also the packages that you offer?
Yeah, it's both. The eSIM is a game changer because you don't need to wait for someone to ship you something.
Right.
Before you had to pay for postage for a SIM card,
right,
to be able to access the data plans. Now, if your phone supports eSIM, it's basically instant. You just install it and away you go. And then further to that, the commitment's a lot less. So we've got plans you could get by the week or by the month, and you don't have to pay for the whole month. You could just get it for the week. And we find a lot of customers appreciate that as well for cash flow reasons. Some of the times you just need the extra buffer. So that's really helpful.
More with Derek from TextNow when we return on Tech It Out. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about a free phone number and even free phone service that you can use that's ad supported. I can tell you I've been using TextNow for a couple of years and it's awesome. So yeah, stick with us. More with Derek from TextNow when we return on Tech It Out.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Derek Ting. He's CEO of TextNow. This is a free app and service that really adds some value to your phone. And you can also, by the way, install TextNow on your computer and use that for calls and texting on your desktop. I have it as an icon at the bottom of my Windows, taskbar, which is really handy. When someone calls or texts me on that line, I can respond with a full-size keyboard and my mouse. I just want to clarify something. So you've offered cellular service in the US for a while now, but what's new is that you don't need the SIM card any longer. You now have embraced eSIM technology. Is that the key difference here, or is it also the packages that you offer?
Yeah, it's both. The eSIM is a game changer because you don't need to wait for someone to ship you something.
Right.
Before you had to pay for postage for a SIM card
Right.
to be able to access the data plans. Now, if your phone supports eSIM, it's basically instant. You just install it and away you go. And then further to that, the commitment's a lot less. So we've got plans you could get by the week or by the month, and you don't have to pay for the whole month. You could just get it for the week. And we find a lot of customers appreciate that as well for cash flow reasons. Some of the times you just need the extra buffer. So that's really helpful.
For your data plans, are they 5G speeds?
Yeah, if your phone supports it, it will use like the latest and the greatest. And it's no different from what you would get with any other service provider.
And as a phone service, like when you get a free phone number, you can change it, by the way, right? Over time if you want to. And you also get all the features that you would typically get with a paid phone number, like voicemail, forwarding, three-way calling, like call display.
Yep. It works just like a normal phone plan. Yep.
Derek, before I let you go, for our Canadian listeners who travel to the US for work or play, can they buy an eSIM from you and use it on 1 month at a time or longer if they want, instead of going with another, like a travel eSIM company?
Yeah. If you are in the US, you can, let's say you're going there for vacation or for a work trip. Once you get to the US, you just open our app, install the eSIM, and you could get the week pass, for example, if you're there for a week. And it's very cost effective.
I was going to say, compared to paying roaming fees to your Canadian carrier, this is a much smarter solution. And I've tested your eSIM in the US being a Canadian, and it works great. Like, it's fast and you get everything that you would expect out of a service like that. Congrats on all your successes, Derek. It's been too long since I've had you on the show. Congrats on launching the new eSIM feature. That's what's new. And I encourage our listeners to take advantage of it. So textnow.com to get going.
Yeah, textnow.com, or just even easier, just download our app. Look for TextNow in the App Store, Play Store.
And it's one word, TextNow. Thanks again, Derek. Be well. Good to chat with you.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up another episode of Tech It Out, I'd love to give a shout out to Visa. I mentioned earlier in the program that they protect you from fraudulent websites and other bad actors, as they call that, online. In fact, next week, we're going to have on the show an interview about prom dress scams, believe it or not. You may be surprised to hear about this growing trend, and an unfortunate trend. We do cover cybersecurity a lot on this program. And one part of the solution is securely shopping online. And so I'm beyond thrilled about my partnership with Visa on Tech It Out, as they've made some significant investments in fraud prevention over the past 5 years. How much, you ask? $10 billion is the estimate. That's billion with a B, all to support Visa's brand promise to protect the financial information of individuals and businesses. Zero liability means peace of mind when you shop online using your Visa card. There can be no half measures when it comes to cybersecurity, which is why the company takes an aggressive and multi-layered approach to combating the rising threat of malicious software and other threats by well-funded and global criminal enterprises. Read more about Visa and how securing the world's payments is priority one at visa.com/security. Again, that's visa.com/security. And just a reminder, you can now listen to Tech It Out on YouTube for the first time. Again, it's an audio-only radio show and podcast, as you likely know for now, but I think you'll enjoy it on that very popular platform. And of course, it's also on Spotify and Apple and Amazon Audible and iHeart and all the other major ones out there, but for the first time on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I'm also on social media. If you want to read the articles that I write, I post videos and photos and tech tips of the day and links to the guests and the interviews that I host on this show. You can find me on virtually every major platform: X and Facebook and Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, even TikTok. No silly dances from me. LinkedIn, of course. Reach out. Let me know where you're tuning into the show from, what you like or maybe don't like about Tech It Out. If you've got recommendations for upcoming guests and topics, or even tech questions. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you next week for another brand new episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.